Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again, although it's been a while, by unbeaten super welterweight Hamzah Sheeraz. Hamzah, how are you?
I'm very well, Danny, mate. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. A lot has changed since we last spoke, and you're now doing your training camps out in the US. Just tell us, first of all, how that came about, how you hooked up with your trainer.
So basically, 2 years ago when Ricky was down in London, Taz called me up just out of the blue and he goes, listen, Ricky's over. He's a good trainer from LA under Joe Goosen and everything. He goes, if you just do a session with him and see how you feel. This was 2 years ago. I thought nothing of it. And then I went to the gym, done a session with him. And I thought, yeah, since then, like, I've always wanted to train with him. And now, obviously, as my career is getting a bit more on the road, shall I say, I'm getting good sponsors. Also, for example, my sponsors out in Dubai, they made it possible for me to go out and train in LA. So as soon as it was possible, I just caught a flight over and started cracking on with training. And now I'm here 1 week.
Froze up a little bit there at the end, but I think I got the gist of it. What is it about Ricky that kind of sets him apart, and what is he bringing to the table so far?
I'll tell you what, it's more the knowledge. It's more the knowledge inside and out the ring, and the fact that he's worked with Diego Corrales, he's worked with James Toney, he's worked with all the top fighters at the end of the day. So the experience I'm getting from him and just the gym in general as well. Do you know what I mean? Rubbing shoulders with like former world champions like the Ruelas brothers, and just picking up little things. Obviously, it's only the first camp I've probably picked up not even 10% of what I'm gonna pick up eventually. So yeah, it's good. He's good, and I'm sure fight night you'll see. I'm not going to say you'll see a totally brand new me, but you definitely see an improved version of me.
That's good to hear. I mean, the initial version of you is not too shabby, to be fair. What's the living situation like for you when you go out to the US? Are you staying in an apartment out there on your own? Have you brought anyone over with you? Because you're obviously quite family orientated, but now you're over in the US.
Yeah, no, originally I went over to, obviously because you can't travel to America directly, we went over to Dubai for 2 weeks with my father and Taz, and then we flew from there to America, and then my father flew back halfway through camp, and then it was just me and Taz out there. And yeah, it was good. Obviously, I was away from home for a lot longer than anticipated because the fight got delayed. So I was there. I was only meant to be away from home for like 8 weeks. I ended up being away for about 4 months in total. So yeah, it was a long time. I missed a lot of things. I missed a lot, like my birthdays, religious celebrations, everything really. I missed a lot of things. So hopefully come fight now I can let all that frustration out, and yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it.
How do you feel about that side of it, kind of long term, having to leave your family behind and spend probably 2/3 of the year in the US if you fight 3 or 4 times a year?
To be honest with you, Dan, it's a risk. It's not a risk. It's more of a, what do you call it?
Sacrifice.
A sacrifice. That's it. A sacrifice I'm willing to take in order to reach the top, because I felt like over here in England I wasn't really learning much. I was winning. I was knocking people out. But at the end of the day, it's all about entertaining and being at the best of your game. So I just sat down, reevaluated, and said I want to go out there. And yeah, it's just, like I said, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to take, and God willing, it pays off.
And you're back, obviously, on July 24th on the Joe Joyce Carlos Takam card. What can fans expect to see that perhaps they haven't seen from you in the past?
I'll tell you what, see a lot more improved version of me. I've been sparring top Olympians, all Mexicans, Argentinians, all these names who would be world champions, but obviously they ain't got the backing. And I've been rubbing shoulders with like the Benavides brothers in the gym, and it's all good, man. So listen, you'll definitely see an improved version. I can assure that. But yeah, I'm not saying expect drastic changes, because that would be a bit stupid of me to be coming on here and saying you're going to see a whole new version. Do you know what I mean? But hopefully in a few fights you will see a new version. But as for now, you definitely see an improved version.
Now, of course, long term, the change in camp is only going to help your progression. But in the short term, Does it delay your ambitions a little bit? Because obviously you want to bed in with a new coach before you start going for those big names.
Not really. I would have gone like, obviously any name they put in front of me, I would have accepted it straight away, really. And the name we got now is this Spanish guy. So he's the name they've put in, and that's the name I'm fighting. It won't delay me at all. If anything, I think it will speed me up to fight the bigger names eventually. So yeah, man, like it's not putting no stop to it in terms of where I'm going, where I'm heading. And like I said, if anything, it'll make it a lot more quicker.
How much interest, if any, have you got in fighting the bigger domestic names and also picking up the domestic titles like British and Commonwealth? Some fighters, it's the be all and end all. Other fighters could take it or leave it. What's your view?
Like I said, to some fighters, it's they must win it. They've set out, it's their dream to win it. Mine, it's not really my dream, to be honest with you. My dream to win a world title, but I'm not writing it off. If I had the opportunity to fight for it, I'll definitely fight for it, and I won't shy away from the opportunity, because why not? It's a good title to have on your resume, both of them, the Commonwealth and the British. And yeah, it only stops like the question of who the best 154 pounder is in Britain, really, if you've got that title, right? So why not if the opportunity came?
And at the moment, the champion, British and Commonwealth, is of course Ted Cheeseman. I think that fight when Frank Warren did his the memorable kind of list of cross-promotional fights with Matchroom, you and Ted, that whole thing seems to have kind of fallen by the wayside. So much has happened since. But is that still a fight that you would relish?
Yeah, why not? I think he's fighting Troy Williamson. That would be a good fight. That'd be a barnstormer, that. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, of course it was. It'd be a brilliant fight. But the only thing, obviously, he's with Matchroom, and then fights only happen if it is, like, for instance, for the British or for certain titles, and it goes to purse bids, etc. But if that wasn't an issue, hands down, 1,000,000%.
And does that mean you're kind of backing Troy Williamson to get the job done, so he can bring it back to a Frank show and make it a much easier fight to put together?
Yeah, that'd be, obviously, I want him to win, because it'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight to have, especially an all Frank Warren fight as well. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be a big good headliner as well. But listen, I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not really backing either or. I couldn't really care who wins, to be honest with you. But obviously, I'd want him to win if I had to pick someone.
And would you, in terms of progression, would you like to kind of pick up some of these veteran kind of fringe world-class fighters? That seems to be a way a lot of young fighters go now. Get fighters at the right time, good name on the record, and learning fights.
Yeah, listen, I think originally in my head that was the plan, right? Yeah, to go that route, But after being out in America and seeing the real boxing and mixing it with like world level fighters, to be honest, I don't really doubt myself at all. So whatever route they choose for me, whatever route Frank chooses for me, I'll just go down that route, really. And I'll just, as long as I keep winning, doing my thing, I'm sure I'll get there eventually. And obviously with the help of my family and my uncles, Asif, and everyone for just their continued support, really. I couldn't really do it without them. So yeah, eventually any route I'm set out to go on, I'll capitalise on it and get to the top.
You've talked a fair bit about the sparring over in the US and the extra kind of assurance it's given you about your own abilities.
Yeah.
Who, out of all the guys you've sparred, who are the one or two who kind of stand out as either going places or gave you a good spar?
There's quite a few names, to be honest with you, like up and coming names, but I've only got their Instagrams, and I only know their Instagram names. I don't know their actual name, but there's quite a few. Listen, the first day I went out there, I sparred this an Olympian. He's had a few fights. He's had a few pro fights now. He's a 160. I forgot his name. First spar I had with him, I was a bit like taken aback, because it wasn't sparring I've never had before in England. You know what I mean? Like, tried to literally take my head off, and then I had a few good sparring sessions with him, and eventually, it turned into a much better spar than it was the first time I went down there. And a few Argentinians, like there's one guy who's on Brian Castano's team. He's his partner. He's a 154 fighter as well. I had good sparring with him. There's loads of names out there, and like you could just be training one day and then someone turns up just out the blue in the gym, and they're like, yeah, they want sparring, and before you know it, you end up sparring someone who's going to go on to fight for a world title or become a world champion himself. So in terms of learning and everything, you can't beat it out there, and that's why I keep banging on about the reassurance and that, because if you're mixing it at that level, I'm sure we won't have a problem anyway for mixing out the best.
You mentioned Brian Castano there, obviously world champion, got a huge fight this weekend, undisputed super welterweight titles against Charlo. What do you make of that fight? How do you weigh it up?
It's a good fight. It's a very good fight because I know he's only 5'7", but he's a little tank. Do you know what I mean? He gets in the right places, and I think he'll give Charlo problems. I predict Charlo to win, but not an easy win.
Good stuff. Well, mate, it's really good to hear from you after so long. I look forward to seeing you back in the ring, July 24th, and let's not leave it so long next time.
Yeah, that's it. I'll try and make it quicker.
All right, mate.
Cheers,
Take
mate.
care.
Have a good one.